So if anybody has questions, this is the BaseCamp help desk. It's our second one of the year. We know that as we do them all really in the first 2 weeks, we know as you get started, sometimes questions come up. You don't know how to do a workout function or load something or do anything. And help desk is just a simple time for anyone to jump on. Now, this year's timing put help desk on 4th of July, so I have a feeling it's going to be extra slow. There's another one later in the week. Just check the events calendar. I think Thursday night at 6 or 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, Patricia, I see you on here. You could ask a question by typing it in the question box or type it in the chat box. Excuse me.
Can I ask you verbally?
Or you could just ask me verbally. That's what I was about to say, but I coughed. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. All right, shoot, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so I am not going to be racing, but I still want to follow the program because I did the winter program.
Sure.
I loved it and I want to learn. I'm new to having a power meter. And I read your blog today about, going to Strava or Garmin. I'm on Garmin. I don't use Strava to find routes. I did today's workout yesterday. They're just small climbs. I cannot stay within the power zones at all. When I look at the normalized power, it's okay, but I always go over.
Do you mind if we look at your account?
No.
Okay, awesome. My first victim, volunteer. Thank you. No, it's cool to see you back. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, I really loved the program.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. I'm so excited to be doing, it's funny, the summer program comes always at the right time for me because I always get a little washed out by this time of year. It's like, am I really ready to keep riding in structure? But then like the program revitalizes me. I can't wait to get out and do today's workout.
I did I purchased a training program last year, so I just bridged that over till RPI started. And I did a lot of mountain biking, so I didn't really stick to it very well.
Well, that's okay. You don't want to be overly structured. Like knowing when to turn a structure on and turn structure off is really important to keeping us fresh. We're not professional athletes. We're not getting paid to race our bikes. Finding that right balance is so important. All right, so let's take a quick review. I'll do this one for you. I'm admitting some other people to the meeting. So I can tell right off the bat, you had some higher heart rate than you've had recently, but not super high. So probably not a bad guess. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click in. Oh, I did that wrong. I do that all the time. It's different. I'm going to click into analyze. And what that does is it lets me see you. I see the dark blue was the structured workout in the background, right? And the pink is your power output now that you're using a power meter. So I can see that. Now we can see here the dark blue, the structure picks up in a range in here that was targeting for you somewhere between 126 and 143 watts. Now for me, the first thing I'm going to look to do, I see you had some laps done. So you're running in your Garmin in a lap format. I got it.
I think it must go every 5 miles.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. I can see it. You have it set to every 5 minutes. So I'm just going to drag kind of a custom one over that time range, but just visually, I'm going to go a little longer. Then once I've dragged that vision, I'm going to see the little add button here. I'm just going to add it and I'm going to name it tempo, just so I remember, that it's there. Now, once I do it, wants to apply, it's going to open up all my metrics for that because that's the way it does. I'm going to hide the others. Now I can look at, and if I look in your list, I can find tempo and I can look specifically at that. So I can see roughly in that time range, the target was 126 to 143 watts. Your average was 125. So you were a little low, right? And I can see the up and down of what you're talking about. So one of the ways that I can make a determination on that is I'm going to, by clicking on the little workout button here, I'm going to hide the workout. But I want to see what was happening in elevation in feet. So you notice when I hover over FT, it says elevation. I want to show the elevation. So in this section, you started going up hills, and I can see the range here. You're at 116 feet. And here, I'm sorry, you're at 883 feet. And up here, you're at 952. So there's change and there's undulation going on. So somewhere in this range, like you started your interval sort of closer, and I don't know exactly where you started it, but you started sort of close to the top. And that time range, you ended up with more downhill and then kind of over this little hump and then flat. And the reality is I can immediately tell, because I do way too much file reading, that you actually turned around and went back.
Yeah.
Right? I can see it. So you turned around in here, and this is the same structure I can see here in reverse. So the reality is it was hard to hold power. Now I want to know why. I can see the undulations and I can see some downhill. So I'm going to look at RPM. I'm going to show your cadence. And I can see yellow, and I know this gets a little hard to see in the screen. Your cadence when you were going downhill, you're about 190, your average cadence throughout the section is 83. When you're going downhill, you started soft pedaling. Like you couldn't maintain the cadence well enough, and you went down to a lower number, and power went down accordingly. Like you see these low points, I can see your power is 0, your RPMs are 0. Was it just too steep? Is that what was getting you on the descents, or was it just handling?
No, it wasn't handling, because actually, like I said, I'm still trying to find routes. So this was a paved park. This was like one of the flattest places I could find nearby.
Got it. So it really was just you were going downhill and couldn't go any faster.
Yeah.
So one thing I might do is tempo, you need to find a little better place if possible. It might not be possible, right? That might be what it is. 2, I probably would have started like here to try to at least get more of it going up the grade before you had to deal with the down. You probably would have gotten off to a more tempoed start.
Okay.
And then 3, and this sounds right. This is some of the tough parts of coaching. You should have kept pedaling. So one of the things that happens here, right, is, and I always am loath to say this because I want everybody to be safe. Part of the skill that we can work on in training that will translate to your performance is keeping on top that gear when you're going down these smaller hills. Another thing I might look at is when you execute is I could look at the map down here. Oh, I don't have map loaded right now, but there it is. So I can see you were kind of not too curvy, but can you, if you challenged yourself a little more, safely challenged yourself, could you have used a bigger gear and pedaled a little harder, or you simply didn't have enough gears to pedal harder?
So I have a tendency to, while I'm shifting, just kind of soft. And I'm wondering if, I don't know how long that break is, but could that be part of it?
I bet you it is, because here's what I see most frequently. It's often mental, more than people realize, because we get complacent in the production of power, which is kind of cool because it's what cycling is fun. We all love that cruise and that flow, and we're on top of gear and we're enjoying that flow, but it doesn't, that deeply ingrained habit doesn't always translate to the best training moments. And on training moments, like a 30-minute tempo interval and stuff like that, you have to just commit mentally, I'm going to try to keep that power. So my first advice is start, at the bottom, even in undulating hills, and work your way up so you get that right pacing early. 2 is focus on keeping pressure in the pedals. It is so much harder than you think. It really is, right? It's so easy to kind of drift off. You shift or you start going down a little hill and suddenly you kind of snap back in. You're like, man, I'm kind of coasting. So part of it is just mental practice. You'll be so surprised. Like if you give it a shot to try to stay on that safely, never end up going too fast down a hill that you can't control, but just stay on it, just try. Everything we learn as human beings, we learn, the best learning is iterative. We get a little bit faster. Then we say, hey, now that I'm going a little faster, I'm staying on those pedals. I figured out I can do this. And then we iterate to a slightly better solution. Then you figure out, hey, I can do this. Then we iterate to a slightly. So my advice to you is three tips. One, keep reviewing different courses under some of the techniques in my article. Two, always start at the lowest point of whatever course you have that's available to you. And then three, mental focus. And I know it sounds like overly simplified feedback. The mental focus, if you use your gearing more effectively, stay in the bigger gears when you need to, and just keep pressure on the pedals, might surprise you.
Okay.
Now, overall, the workout was pretty darn close. Also, give yourself some credit. You know, when I select that tempo workout, you were only 1 watt below the target. And you're right, your normalized power was 130, so a little higher. For those listening, we'll teach normalized power in week 2, so we understand what that means, but it's just a little different way of looking at power. So you were really close, and this was solid. So in closing, I would also look to see what happened in your heart rate during that period. So you were pretty steady in your heart rate, and 147. So that looks right in the right kind of tempo zone. And I can see it here by heart rate. So because it was undulating, you were a little low in power, but the undulations did keep your heart rate up. So you got the aerobic demand that you were looking for. So overall, a good workout, not great. That's the nature of coaching. I'm never just going to tell you what you want to hear, but a good workout. You got the work done. Keep that up. Final question for you. Did you try the alphabet test somewhere in there?
Oh, I didn't. I forgot that.
You'd
I
be
did
surprised
not.
at how well it works, right? Like if you can do it, and I said in my article, it's been lab tested to be pretty darn good. If you try the alphabet testing, that's another way to really feel if you're going hard enough. So don't forget to throw that in your endurance and tempo tests.
Yeah, we did that at BaseCamp. I
I
should
know,
have
right?
remembered.
And it
And I
works.
read your article.
Yeah, it totally works. You know, we stress like, are we going hard enough or too hard? The alphabet test is an awesome way to give you understanding for these aerobic efforts. Once you go beyond tempo, it's not great, but for endurance and tempo rides, it's a pretty good feel.
All right, thank you. I think I'm gonna, tomorrow, my FTP test, I think I'm gonna have to use this course unless I can find one in between by then, and I'll do the reverse and I'll just wing it.
Yeah, right. And all you can do is all you can do. I mean, just try to stay on the gas, keep on the pressure. But I would definitely, you know, warm up by going some mountain bikes. Start here, wherever that is, you know, on the course. And you could actually see it. I dragged it. It's right here.
Yeah.
So start there to give yourself a little more uphill to establish your pacing.
Okay. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for jumping on.
Okay.
Right,
Have
Andrew,
a great holiday.
Oh yeah, same to you. I'm going out to spend some family time and chase my granddaughter around on 4th of July celebration. Lee or Andrew, do you have a question? You could just unmute and ask.
Yeah, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, hi Lee, hi Tim, hi Patricia. Yeah, I much appreciate this time because it works well over here in the UK as well. I have just a couple of, I think, hopefully small things. So I've noticed that within the workout, it also specifies cadence quite a lot, and it's coming because I'm using this indoors. I see it coming up on the screen in the software.
Do you mind if I open your account?
No, not at all. Andrew Hunter. Yeah.
All right, shoot, go ahead with your question. This way I can look at it as you ask.
Yeah. Now I've got a preference for a high cadence, and I'm wondering how much of an issue it is.
Yeah, we always struggle with this.
Follow. Yeah.
Sorry, we always struggle with this a little in BaseCamp because what's your relative norm, right? So what you should do is And when you're doing it on the trainer, it comes up on the screen. It's like one of our biggest Zwift complaints if you're using Zwift or one of these softwares, it comes up on the screen. The reality is you should interpret and be like, if it's blank, it's your self-selected. I try to always say high cadence or low cadence, and you'll notice it goes up an average of 5 or down an average of 5. Interpret that to individualize around your normal cadence. Like you can see here, like I say a little harder, higher cadence. So add 5 to your norm. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So you have to do a
Okay.
little interpretation, but that's, don't chase the exact number. When it's higher, go a little higher. When it's lower, go a little lower. When it's really low, because we're doing low cadence work, then follow the prescription.
Okay, that helps. And the other thing is on that, I can see it there on that one there you had open. You've got a range of power, like a sliver across the top.
Yep.
And do you know how that manifests when I'm in erg mode using Swift? Which one do I see?
You'll see the middle number. So
Okay.
like if you want to see what number, I'll show you another I shouldn't have done it. So open the workout, you click on the blue structure and it'll go into the edit. You see how the blocks, it has range? Change that to target and it'll show you the exact number it's going to say right there. Like there's your warm up number, like let's go to tempo. And now it says there's your tempo, 260 watts.
Yeah.
So, and then, I leave it as range because most people in the winter are doing outdoor and it's hard to be that specific, as we just heard from Patricia, but from Patty. But if you were doing them indoors and you want to anticipate that exact target, and all the target does is it takes the average of the range. That's exactly how Zwift handles it, and then just turns it into a single number.
Okay. No, that's it for me. Much appreciated. I'm probably going to stick on in case I learn something from the other guys.
No worries.
Don't mind.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Who's next? We have Lee and Jeremy. If you have questions, just unmute and ask away. Or you could just be following along. Lee, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Jeremy, do you have a question today? You're on mute if you're talking.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I got a question or an issue, and I don't know that this is going to be related to you, but I went and did that first workout this morning, and disappointingly, it did not upload to Training Peaks or Strava, so I can't seem to find it. It doesn't look like I got any record of it. I don't want to have to redo it because obviously, I mean, if I have to redo it, I'm going to have to redo it another day because I'm kind of burnt myself out this morning a little bit on it.
Did you do it on Swift? How did you complete it?
No, I got a new computer. I got a Karoo. So I'm going to get on their dashboard and see if I can find it and figure out a way to get it manually uploaded for you.
Which you can export the file, right? Then open and just save it to your desktop. Open your WKO account and just drag it and drop it over WKO. It will automatically recognize it and load it for you. So that's how you do it. You can connect the two accounts. So in your Karoo dashboard, or just Google search connecting Training Peaks and Karoo, and it'll show you how to connect it. Or you can just keep dragging and dropping them each day, which.
Well, yeah, it's worked for me. I've had the computer for a week or so, and I've had everything synced up, and it's actually downloaded every ride that I've done up to today.
Sometimes you accidentally turn, and sometimes what I noticed with some of those services, if there's any type of internet like connection issue as it's loading, it will just stop loading and you have to reload it.
And that may be what it is, because I kind of like Sun Valley. I'm at 6,600 feet. So every gravel road I got goes to the mountain, and it goes up into the mountains, into canyons and such. So a lot of times I don't have service until I'm done. So I may have tried to turn it off too early or to download it too early, maybe when I didn't have a good signal.
That happens. So you might want to start it back up and resync it, and it will start, sync it to your computer or plug it in, and it will recognize it, and it will know if it didn't download. The head unit will, so it'll
Okay.
reload it.
Okay. All right. So I guess, and then that brings up another point. Thank you, Tim, or Coach Tim.
Tim is good. Coach Tim, that's what I call myself, so I'm not just Tim. That's the joke. If you've ever seen the movie, some call me Tim. I have to distinguish myself.
So I don't know if you can see my profile pic or not, but I'm the one with the spinal cord injury that rides a standard bike.
Yeah, I see that.
My heart rates when I was doing this today were way different than what was showing in my ride, or in the plan there. They were a lot higher actually, but I did your ABC thing, and maybe I just do we enter these correct numbers later down the road or what?
Yeah, we're going to do a test here on Thursday,
Okay.
which will give you a number. It sounds like your number's too high. That's why I wanted people to have the ABC thing now and in the future, because it really does work pretty well.
It worked. It worked great. I mean, I was up around 155, 160 beats per minute on my heart rate, and I was able to save my ABCs while the test when I was doing it said I should be somewhere around 120. So I was way higher, but I still had the energy, I was in the right zone, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Correct. And once we test you once you go through the testing protocol on Thursday, we'll be able to help you get
Perfect.
your heart rate and power set. Namrita's going to be taking everybody through getting all that set up. I'll be around too, helping.
Okay.
And we'll get you set. So that's why I do that alphabet test early, because you have a couple of days where you still might be figuring it out.
Right.
I guarantee once you get it set, it will match your alpha. It'll be very, very close to your alphabet test.
Perfect. Yeah. An hour and a half of saying my ABCs. I think I know them now. So thank you for that.
It's funny.
It really helped. It was unbelievable how it made me feel like I was in the right zone. It was crazy how easy it was.
It helps focus you, right? And it's funny. There are things we'll talk about performance later that help you be in the now. Like we hear that term all the time, like being in the now. So when you're doing intervals or you're doing testing or you're doing performance, often our brains we always project ahead. Like that is one of the biggest mental performance challenges we have. And that could be very powerfully good and powerfully bad. I'm going to fail. I'm never going to make it to the finish, right? I'm going to be the last one in, whatever. We don't want to be, even when it's success, I'm going to win. You're so much better in hard efforts being in this moment, like just one voice in that head in this moment. The ABCs focus you into that process pretty well. Beyond the fact, it helps you understand physiologically, am I going hard enough or not going hard enough? So there's dual benefits, a little trickery right off the bat from the coaches to help you find that kind of process, staying in the moment, measuring what you're doing. And yes, it's funny, you re-practice your ABCs, which, like I always joke, I haven't done since first or second grade, but it's like you get good and you have to enunciate. Everybody listening, you have to enunciate each letter, A, B, C. I used to do it when we were kids, like A, B, C, D, F, G. No, A, B, C. If you do that well, it'll give you a good measure.
Yep. No, I was singing it towards the end. That was great.
Awesome.
Brought back a lot of memories.
Well, great job of getting the work done. Great. And thanks for coming and joining the group. And Thursday test, we're going to walk you through how to get it all set up and hit the right targets.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. I don't see any online. I have a feeling holidays, we know it's going to be. There's another help test on Thursday. We're going to be putting out. We have a support session on how to set your FTP after you test. So we'll do these same live sessions. We jump on, we help. I didn't broadcast the first one because no one joined, but I'm not sure there wasn't a tech issue. But we're going to make sure, we're on the rest. We'll broadcast them in Facebook. We'll record them and put them in there. So it's a great place to ask your questions, or as always, just submit them to the Facebook group and we'll answer. Excellent. Everybody have a great holiday and we'll talk soon. Bye now.